Hi, I'm Sean Reardon, Mayor of Newburyport, and welcome to the latest edition of the Mayor's Corner. We decided to stay indoors because we are still in the middle of that heat wave. And I know last week we were out and about. We were down at the middle school checking out the new hot top area, which they're still working on. I'll talk about that a little bit later. But we thought we'd just stay cool today. We're going to come inside, and I do have a few updates for you. But that said, we are still in the middle of this heat wave. It does look like the heat is finally going to break over the weekend. So that means we still got a couple hot days here that we have to deal with. So again, if you've got an elderly neighbor, make sure you're checking on them. If you're looking for a place to go during the day to stay cool, the library and the senior center are two great options to kind of get out of the heat and stay in a nice, cool city building. This weekend, the Salvation Army is available for cool spots as well. So there are places for people to go, and we should always be looking out for our neighbors during these hot times, all right? Speaking of these hot times, we are announcing today that we're doing a voluntary implementation of water use restriction, okay? Which is just a long way of saying, like, we're asking everyone, they don't have to do this, but we would like some help in doing this in some of the non-essential uses of our water. Again, these tend to go in effect every summer. If you've noticed, a lot of surrounding communities have done this a lot earlier. Ours is typically based on, once we get into August, we have certain levels that our reservoirs have to be at. Otherwise, we go to this voluntary, water use restriction is what it's called. So right now, we are in a great spot, right? Again, even with all the hot water we've had, we just dipped below the 90% capacity of our of our reservoir capacity, right? So we just dipped at a 90%. So in August, when that happens, we go to this voluntary ban. The next involuntary ban, or like now we're having some heavy duty restrictions, that wouldn't kick in until we get all the way down to 75%. So right now we're at 88%. We're going with the restriction that's being announced today. So again, this means if you're someone who's watering your lawn every day, maybe you water it every 3 days. That's what we're recommending. All watering should be taking place either in the morning or the night. So we're talking 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. or 6 p.m. to 9 p.m., okay? Things like that. There are other recommendations we make, so if you want to go to the city website, there'll be one of the first things you see on the city website in the news section will be information around this water use restriction. Again, this is voluntary. You don't have to do it, but we would love your help. When you do something like this, you're helping out your whole community. You're not just doing this for yourself. What else is going on with the water supply? So we also are monitoring an algae bloom that is on in a couple places in the lower and upper artichoke. This is something we've been monitoring since June, all right? But we wanted to let you know that the water is 100% clean and healthy, all right? Again, everyone else has their own opinions about the water, but the water bloom is being contained and monitored right now. We're going to continue to do some testing. And so we'll have more information to follow, but right now we wanted to let you know that that's out there. So we did have to put some signs up around the reservoir. We do allow fishing in our reservoir. My son loves to go down there and fish. Right now we're not allowing that, okay? If you're someone who takes your dogs or pets in a walk in that area around the reservoirs, you gotta make sure you keep your dogs out of there. It's our drinking water, so they probably shouldn't be in there anyways, right? Because we don't allow swimming in our reservoirs. But we are going to put some signs up. Again, a lot of this takes place in Newburyport and West Newbury. So again, we put that out there today. We're going to keep you informed. There's no other actions that need to be taken this time. I think the weather will play a lot in this. Again, the heat is about to break. We got some rain last night, so it already looked like the algae bloom was dying. It's just dying pretty slowly, which is why we wanted to make you aware of it. And again, it's not near any water intake. So if you have any questions, please reach out to our water department. Again, we deal with these things all the time. Back in 2020, before I took office, there was a much bigger algae bloom incident. It's not one of those. Again, this is a much smaller incident that we've been monitoring since June, right? So here we are in August, and we're in the middle of a heat wave, right? So I do think the weather changes coming up is going to help us out in that respect. So we'll keep you updated, but that's where we are with the water, and everything is 100% fine to drink as far as the water goes, and we're just going to keep an eye on that, and we'll keep sending that information out to you. What else is going on for projects, all right? So we were supposed to start the sidewalk work out in State Street this week. I just drove by a little while ago. That hasn't started yet, so that still might start before the week's over, but we are going to start some sidewalk work. I think we're going to start on the, if you're going up State Street to High Street, we're going to start on the right-hand side towards the top and work our way down. Next week we have the big antique car show that the Chamber puts on, which is awesome. That's happening next Thursday, the 21st. So, all this work that we're doing is not going to impact that. We would like to stay away from that as much as possible. But there are a lot of things that are going to happen in that upper State Street area the next couple of weeks. So one, we're going to be working on some sidewalks, so there's going to be brickwork going on. We also got our downtown lighting project passed through City Council. We're going to use some parking funds for that. We actually got an earmark from the state legislator as well. Senator Tarr helped us with that. So we're going to take that money, and Representative Shand as well. We're going to take that money and put it towards this project. And this is going to add some of those beautiful old times street lamps up State Street coming from Pleasant, because right now we don't have any. It kind of stops right there. And we have wonderful businesses up there that could certainly benefit from this. And just safety-wise, it'd be nice to have a more well-lit street going up State Street. So the perfect time to do that is right before you're about to pave, right? So we're going to have sidewalk work happening, and then after the car show, you're going to start seeing a lot of electrical work happening there, because we're going to have to dig into the street, get into the sidewalk, and have those ready for installation. We've ordered those lamps, but it takes quite a long time to get them, so we don't envision installation really happening until the spring, but we're going to get them all ready. We're going to get all that electrical work done prior. And then once we get to September 15th, when we start pulling up the parklets after outdoor dining season, then we're going to start preparing to pave State Street, which is one of the biggest streets we wanted to do this year. It's been way overdue to get paved. And then also Garden and Otis Street, which are those two little streets right around the Institution for Savings. So all that's coming. So again, and that will finish our street and sidewalk work for the year. Again, we did 17 streets this year with these last 3 that we're going to work on. And there's some top coats happening around the city too, and we talked about that a couple weeks ago, so I'm not going to bore you with that. If you've driven down on Low Street, the rec center is coming along, and wow, they are moving fast. They removed the roof. They're working on the roof. They've gutted the inside. They're doing a lot of site work. They're getting ready for the parking lot right now, clearing space and getting the grading right for the parking lot. So we have been thrilled to see the progress at 59 Low Street. We are going to do a ribbon cutting. I do it in quotations because we're already doing the work there. We've already had a groundbreaking. But we are going to do a ribbon cutting sometime in September. We're just working on finalizing the date. I don't think I have that date yet. But we're going to call it like a community site walk, which I think is going to be great because, a lot of times when we do these, we hear from a lot of different people. And again, this was such a community-driven project. Again, this went out for a debt exclusion and overwhelmingly was voted by 61% of voters that day. So it's nice to have these types of events to really talk about what's happening, why are things being done the way they're being done, and what can we expect moving forward. So when we have this community site walk, we're going to actually be able to invite the community to come in and check out what's happening. And then we're also going to have the contractor and the architect and staff available to answer any questions you might have around this incredible project. And again, we're still targeting November 2026 for an opening, but you never know. Again, things are going great right now. Maybe that project just zooms right along. But it'll be great to kick off that important project and really hear directly from the people involved in it of what's to come. All right, so that's the Recreation Youth Services Center. Actually, somewhat related is that because we have been targeting Curtis Fund possible funds for this as well. Again, that Curtis Fund is we finally put a committee together that's going to decide how those funds are going to be spent this year. We think we're going to have around $200,000 that we can allocate this year. We have talked to them about those funds going to the rec center, but what really is going to decide that is this committee that we've put together. And again, I was able to nominate 4 people for that committee. They've all been approved. They're all from different wards. And then also there's going to be 2 city councilors on there, as well as a mayor's appointment as well. And I'm going to have Kim Turner, who serve on that committee as well. So that committee is going to meet pretty soon, and they'll start their process of talking about how that money could be used this year. So we're excited about that. So that's coming up as well. Right across the street from the middle school, there's a cool project going on. That hop top area, I think those were the original basketball hoops from 1972 that were there. Again, I went to school there. My kids have now gone to school there. So that area in itself was in desperate need of an upgrade. So we did put in a CPC application. It got approved. So we're moving forward with that project. So I don't know if you've driven by there the last couple of weeks, but we ripped up the court there. We laid down new hut top. We're going to put 4 new basketball hoops up there, and then we're going to have put the sports lines in all over the courts. But we're also going to do those fun games like Foursquare and some other middle school games that can be played on the hut top. But what I'm announcing today, which is pretty exciting, is that we've kind of reconfigured where the basketball courts are going to go and try to utilize that space a little bit more. And we're actually going to be able to put a 2-lane running track around the basketball courts, which is pretty neat. I know the phys ed program down at the middle school will probably be psyched about that. They'll be able to utilize that. But that's kind of a new little wrinkle that we're putting into that area. And again, I think it's just a wonderful way of using CPC money. We've been trying to do it the last couple of years, update these areas in the city with that CPC money, putting that money to good use, starting and finishing projects that can immediately be used by residents, which is great. And just finally, a couple things before we sign away here. I did have a meeting with the Whittier Northern Essex Working Group. Again, that's the committee that's been put together to look at what that possible Whittier Northern Essex shared campus model will look like. It was an interesting meeting. I think we are progressing. I think we're definitely moving in the right direction. The next step will be announcing who's going to serve from Newburyport on the building committee for there. And I have somebody good in mind that I will be announcing probably next week. But a lot of this, again, this was a very hot topic a couple years ago when that regional vote was taken, right? So we got to make sure that that vote is still very present in the minds of those looking at this option. Again, we don't know what that shared model looks like yet, so I think that's going to drive a lot of this. So I think we had some good conversations, but we really got to figure out what's that learning model look like, what's that career and technical model look like for that building, and how is Northern Essex integrated into that, and how is the state going to be involved in this? Because I do think this is going to be a brand new entity. So how is the state going to help us lead through that process? And I do think the state will be more and more involved as we go. And just a couple things, sorry. Department head spotlights. Look for these on my social media. I'm going to start highlighting a department in the city here every week. We are so lucky to have so many great department heads and staff here in the city. And I wanted to shine a big light on them this summer. And so we started this week. We started with DPS, and we're going to move forward. I think we're doing recreation and youth services next week. But every department's going to get their day in the sun because, again, they're showing up every day for you, the resident, and doing a great job. So that's coming. You're going to see that every week. And that Senior Affordability Task Force, we've set up a date. The week of the 25th is we're going to first meet. That's that internal group with some residents and boards and commissions are going to meet first. And then that month of September, we're going to come out with a lot of different focus groups. We're going to come right to the Senior Center with a lot of different times and dates to hear directly from you about ways that you think we could help you age in place here in Newburyport, help with affordability issues that you may be having. I think they're important conversations to have, and we're looking forward to hearing directly from you. And that's my Mayor's Corner this week. I hope everyone has a wonderful, safe weekend. Enjoy the rest of this hot weather because we're going to have a big temperature change come Monday, and I will see you all next time on the Mayor's Corner.